Hello and welcome back to episode 7 of the Championship Rounds podcast. I'm your host Andrew, joined by Taj, Boxing Journals, and Darren, Boxing Fan. On fight week for one of the most in-demand fights in the sport, a fight that's been brewing for years, and just an exceptional matchup between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol, live on the Zone, Sky Sports, TNT Sports, ESPN Plus, in just one of the most anticipated fights for the hardcore boxing audience that I can remember. It's a mega fight this weekend. Dan, what are your first thoughts just on the overall matchup?
Yeah. I don't think you can get a fight better than this in boxing. We already had Usyk Fury. That was arguably the best matchup. But I think when it comes to skill level, this is the best fight of the year. And it's been one of the fights to make since they both held titles in 2017.
It's been a long time coming, I think. Like the noise around this fight has been there for ages. Like I think it was the after Beterbiev Gvozdyk when it really started to get sort of some sort of hype behind it. You know, Canelo had just beaten Sergey Kovalev and then announced he was moving back down. And then like this fight was just there, like the two best in the division. Umar Salamov, no, not Umar Salamov. Who was fighting Joe Smith for the vacant? Another Russian.
Maxim Vlasov.
Yeah, Vlasov. Vlasov was fighting Joe Smith, and you just thought those two just aren't on the level of the other two. And then it's just been brewing ever since. Obviously, Beterbiev's picked up the WBO in that time. Bivol's beaten Canelo, who had the WBO, so it's sort of like all come to this sort of crescendo now. And if I'm honest, I didn't think this fight would happen. But His Excellency has come in and put the money up to make it happen.
One of the few good things about him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they've been the two best clear in the division for a long time. I mean, to be honest, I mean, they've been the best. I mean, probably since like 2019, but maybe 2018. Or maybe even since Ward retired, to be honest.
Maybe on skill level, but like...
I mean, Kovalev was still there. I mean, Adonis Stevenson was still there. But definitely since Beterbiev beat Wardley. I mean, they've been the best by far.
Yeah.
Because since then, it's just been Kovalev, and then when he lost it to Canelo. And Joe Smith, obviously, is probably one of the worst champions of the decade so far. He's still good, but
I don't even think he beat Vlasov.
He didn't beat Vlasov.
Yeah,
that was a clear 8-4 loss, but
it was probably wider than that.
He was never not winning that title unless he got stopped, which was not happening. Torren were giving him that belt.
I remember with Joe Smith, this is a bit of a tangent, but Joe Smith was an underdog against Callum Johnson before Johnson pulled out of that fight. And it was just like, like he's not that good. But anyway, it's been a long time coming, this fight. And I'm talking about how you see the fight going. I've got sort of a very clear sort of feeling about this fight in my head. I can see the fight. And if I'm honest, I don't think people are going to look back and see this as the 50-50 that it is right now. I think Beterbiev is going to, after the halfway point, after sort of 4 or 5 rounds, I think Beterbiev is going to dominate this fight.
It seems to be a lot of people's thoughts about the fight is that Bivol's going to win. Bivol's going to be winning at the time that people think Beterbiev will eventually get a stoppage. Like he'll be winning, like, say if people think it's stopped in like round 8, Bivol will be up like 5-2, 4-3 in a competitive fight. But
I don't even see it like that. There's one hole in Bivol's game that I think he's done a very good job of covering up. I think he's a 2-minute round fighter. And what I mean by that is he can only set a good pace for 2 minutes around, and he does a lot of, with good foot movement, good sort of ring IQ. He steals rests lots and lots of, like, every round. Every round he'll steal rests, get an odd 20 seconds here, 30 seconds there, and switch someone off for 30 seconds. Just to get a little bit of rest. I think that's the main difference there. That's going to be a key difference. Beterbiev is a 3-minute round fighter, and he will not allow himself to be switched off for 20 seconds, be switched off for 30 seconds by Bivol. That's one of the key differences, I think. Don't know about you two, but that's just how I see it. I see Bivol being forced to fight at this pace, the early rounds, having to be in fourth or fifth gear, whilst Beterbiev is in like second or third to try and keep in the fight, and then just unraveling.
Both their engines are insane.
I mean, Bivol, he does throw quite a few punches, but they're like consistent paced with his fights. They're like consistent pace, and he stays in one gear. And can he go up the gears? Can he?
He's gonna have
Is this just like what he can do, and we're all just thinking, oh yeah, he can do so much more? Because he even beat Canelo in second gear. Well, it looked like second gear. Maybe this is the best he can do.
if that's as much as he could do, then with most of these 50-50 fights, barring Usyk Fury, in the last like 5 years, they end up being like whitewashes. And I hope this fight's not like those.
I mean, I don't think that's all he can do. I think he can go up gears. I think he's really motivated to win this fight.
He needs to do that, or he will get, like, it's confirmed he'll get stopped if he doesn't. If he can't go.
Bivol, he doesn't actually move like as much as you think. Like when you think of like Bivol, people think like he moves around the ring a lot, like Shakur Stevenson. He doesn't. He takes center ring. I mean, he sits in center ring. That's where he wants to be in the fight. He sits in center ring, like with his weight on his back foot, ready to get out of range. Like he's
not a mover, but he doesn't stop moving. His body
he's like just on the cusp of being in range and out of range. Like his judgment of distance is just incredible. I mean, it's the best it's best in boxing. Like
that pendulum movement, though, it lends itself to being on that sort of edge of range. It lends itself to not being able to generate power, which is why I think he went on that UD run.
Well, I mean, I think he can be complacent. I think with these opponents. I mean,
some of these opponents, he obvious. There's a skill gap to where he could like go out and go.
Like he could have. I mean, he wanted to. He wanted to stop Malik Zinad. You could see he wanted to stop Malik.
He wanted to stop Lyndon Arthur as well.
He did. He did try to stop Lyndon Arthur, but in his defense, I mean, he's been
Lyndon Arthur's huge.
He's been fighting some big guys. I mean, Lyndon Arthur's huge. Craig Richards is huge.
Salamos.
These
are big people. Like, they're all bigger than him.
Slight counterpoint. Lyndon Arthur had one leg in that fight.
Yeah, well, that could make it even harder. I mean, if someone's on the defensive, I mean, it's not always easy to break them down.
Talking about Lyndon Arthur fight, I think he got hurt to the body in that fight. Bivol.
Yeah, he did.
People don't want to admit that. People think he was just like playing possum and joking, but he definitely got hurt in that fight.
That was weird to see because when people talk about getting hurt, for Beterbiev, you could go and look. He's been on the floor before. I don't think Bivol has been on the floor, and the only thing that pops up when you talk about him getting hurt is that overhand right that Joe Smith landed, which was like the one great punch he landed the whole fight. Yeah, he got hurt to the body, which was different. I didn't expect that at all, honestly. Everybody can get hurt to the body, obviously.
By Lyndon Arthur, though. That's the worrying thing.
When you're coming up against one of the best body punchers in the sport, and that's how he breaks his opponents down. I mean, look at what he did to Bosick with that right hand. I mean, made him fake out of that.
Oh yeah, that was such
my
a
arm.
weird reaction.
My hand is injured.
That hurts. You didn't even get touched in your hand.
I mean, maybe you never know. Maybe that punch
just sent waves down to his
waves down his arm, and it's like, oh, my hand feels weird. What's going on?
Nope,
that's a body shot.
That's just a body shot that reverberated all throughout your body.
Now, people will think. I mean, you can imagine people will think that Beterbiev is not Beterbiev. Bivol is like so much technically better than Beterbiev because people just think he's a puncher.
Absolutely not.
He's not. The technical ability between the two,
very small,
is small gap. I mean, not only is the technical ability short, but Beterbiev is a better. Like he can do more in the ring, I should say.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you've seen him box. I mean, he can box and move. He has really good feet, especially for his age. I mean, he's really not that slow on his feet for his age.
He does not fight like he's almost 40 years old.
You know, I think the best way you can describe it is, I think Bivol's slightly better at long range sort of fencing, boxing, if that makes sense. Keeping your punches long, like in this sort of moving around straight at long range. But I think Beterbiev's better at every other aspect. Mid and short range, I think Beterbiev's like quite a few levels above, if I'm being honest.
I mean, mid-range is close, but up close, I mean, Bivol has zero. And I mean 0 inside game. 0 inside game. If this fight gets close, he has no chance.
What if Beterbiev is able to jump on Bivol like he did Callum Smith?
Then it's over. I mean, if the fight is like that, it's over. He's losing.
You know, one thing I don't like. You see it a lot with Beterbiev. He'll be on the ropes, letting someone unload on him. Then he'll block and slip quite a few of these punches, parry them, and then he'll turn the opponent into a corner, and then just unload after they punch themselves out and they need a little bit of recuperation.
He did that to Yard.
He did that to Yard. He did that to Smith. He did that to loads of these guys, and I just see like Bivol, especially against Canelo, was in that situation where he was just unloading on the ropes. He did it against Artur as well in the 12th round, where he's got you on the end of his punches on the ropes, and he's firing loads off, and I can just see him getting turned, and that's sort of how it ends.
Yeah, but I don't think he'll be like that aggressive. I mean, he had Canelo against the ropes, and he didn't really go for it loads of times. I mean, he just sat there fencing with the jab because Canelo was looking for a counter. I mean, I think if Beterbiev goes against the ropes, I think Bivol will just fence and then wait for him to move. I mean, he doesn't need to do much. Just shoot one or two punches at a time, and then get back to the center of the ring. He doesn't need to be near the ropes, but he has a bad habit of backing up in straight lines, and it's fine against people that are just gonna throw one punch or take a step forward to land a punch. That works. But against Beterbiev, he's not going to throw one or two punches. We've seen him just run forward just to corner people in the ropes. He doesn't angle out. And straight back against the ropes. If he pins you against the ropes, it's hard to get off.
Who do you think has the better jab?
Those jabs are gorgeous from both of them. They're both exceptional jabs, but they're both different jabs.
One's hard, just hard like a power punch.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's splitting hairs, really. I mean, two of the best jabs in boxing. I mean, Beterbiev's jab has finally got the credit it deserves.
It's the way he
That,
was
that's a
out
key
jabbing
battle.
someone who's significantly bigger than him in Callum
Yeah.
Smith, that was insane. He's like, Callum Smith is a huge person. No matter how you talk about his like skill, like his ability, um, he's a huge fighter, and is out has a reach advantage in probably every fight he's had. And Beterbiev just fought like it didn't matter. Like that jab was
Yeah.
getting through regardless.
That's one thing about that fight. I don't give Beterbiev very much credit in that fight. Because I like Callum Smith's just not good.
Well, the thing about Callum Smith is he's very big, but like Fundora, he fights up close. I mean, he doesn't really use his height and reach much. I mean, he can,
He hasn't
but
even
he
got that
doesn't,
good in the side game either.
because he's much better on the inside than he is at long range. Like Fundora.
Callum Smith, every time he fights a good fighter, is shelled up on the ropes. And that's just the fundamental truth of it. Every single time he's fought a good fighter, he's ended up shelled up on the ropes, taking punishment.
Yeah, I guess can't really dispute that.
John
'Cause,
Ryder, Canelo, and
the evidence is
Beterbiev.
there. I mean, the only time he was actually good against a good fighter was George Groves at the end of his career.
George Groves was held together by sellotape at that point and was forced into that fight because if he said no, Eubank would have got them fight, and it was massive money. So like, I'm not counting that, but Groves was finished. But anyway, like, I'm enough about Callum Smith. The key difference for me here is just the physicality, I should say, if I can get my words out. If you look at them in terms of strength, in terms of stamina, in terms of power, obviously, even in terms of chin, I think I like the shots that Beterbiev has walked for against guys like Yard and even Vosdik. I just think the physical attributes a lot of the time will come out over a fight where you're technically quite well matched. The physical specimen is going to win, and I just think Beterbiev is going to win this fight, and I think it will turn into a beating after being quite competitive early. It will turn into quite a bad beating.
Maybe. I mean,
Just,
it definitely
hoping
could.
for it to be hoping for it to be listed.
I mean, it is how a lot of Beterbiev fights have ended up. I think this fight's going to be really close. Like, really close. Like, nip and tuck. Like, there's not going to be much in it.
I just think the pace that Beterbiev is going to set is going to be too much, you know.
I just don't think. Just don't see people taking Beterbiev's power for 12 rounds. Especially if you're like in range to be hit, which Bivol is. Wait, his being so good. His footwork's so good.
Shout out Enrico Colling. He almost made it.
Yeah, he did almost make it. And that's when he won the title as well. And
Yeah.
Beterbiev was getting better. I mean, that Smith performance might be the best performance. Footwork's getting better.
No,
It's getting better.
Performance in my opinion. I did like he looked very good against Smith, but I'll always say it's Callum Smith. Like not a good fighter.
Well, regardless if it was the best performance or not, I mean, he's still showing improvements, which is impressive.
Yeah, definitely.
Prediction?
I mean,
predictions. Go on, Dan. Go on. Sorry, I cut you off.
What predictions? Oh, Jesus Christ, predictions. Who knows with this fight? Look, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, look, Bivol can easily win a unanimous decision in this fight. Easily. Don't think he can get a stoppage, although I do think Bivol has better power than he's given credit for. And these shots, Beterbiev can't be crazy rushing in because he can be hurt by Bivol. But I think it's gonna go like the Wozniak fight where Bivol's ahead early, but Beterbiev's like slowly breaking him down to the body and then just gonna get him out there in the championship rounds. Let's go 11. Beterbiev in 11 in a great fight.
Right.
Yeah. It's been like back and forth with how I with how I think how the fights. I feel like I know how the fight's gonna go. Most people think it's gonna go the same way how I mentioned earlier, with it being like close and competitive and more of like a technical fight for like the first like quarter or like first third at least. I just like Dan said earlier. I don't think anybody can take 12 punches, 12 rounds of Beterbiev punches. It can't happen. I'm gonna pick Beterbiev in around like 8 or 9.
Okay. I didn't expect this.
For all of us to agree for once.
Yeah. I see it. I see it a little bit more one-sided than you two. I see Beterbiev coming out really quick, Bivol staying with him for the first 2 or 3 in a fight that's competitive, but it's obvious that Bivol's doing more. Then Beterbiev takes over rounds 5, 6, probably starts him in 7, 8, or 9 to the body, or he gets pulled out.
It's funny because even you still could be right because with these 50-50, like I said earlier too, that are like on paper supposed to be 50-50, sometimes they're just not. Like when they get in the ring, someone ends up getting like totaled. And I
Yeah.
guess this could be one of them. It would seem to be that this one would finally be the one that is actually like a close, like high level fight. It'll be high level anyway, but like
Yeah,
for like the whole fight.
I mean, I think this is actually going to be a 50-50 fight. Like as close as like Usyk Fury was at times. Like they're both going to have great rounds, and I mean it's going to look like Bivol's going to win at one point, and I think it's going to look like Beter's going to win at one point. Then I think Bivol could get back on top again, and then Beter has to get back on top again. There'll be loads of back and forth, ebb and flows. I just can't wait. I mean, this fight's so good.
You know, like you get these. How do I say this? You get these fights that I just can't get this thing out of my head of Bivol being a 2-minute fighter. You see these fights that are wide decisions where the first minute and a half, 2 minutes of every round are really competitive. And then the same guy takes over in the last 30 seconds to a minute every round. So like they're competitive rounds, but one's winning them. And that's sort of how I see it. Like that's just I can't get this thing about Bivol not being able to set this high pace out of my head. He's been so happy to just sit in first gear his whole career. And I just think it's a major red flag. You get comfortable doing that. You get comfortable sitting there, sort of, I'm winning easily. I don't have to step up, so I'm not going to. And then for the first time in probably your entire professional career, where you have to step up the gears, you have to fight for this hard, higher pace for a full 3 minutes rounds every round, and you're getting deep and deep and deep into this fight. You're having to drain the tank. Can you actually do that? Because you've been so used to just sitting there, fighting at your own pace in sort of your comfortable zone. That I just worry about that with Bivol.
I mean, it's definitely a question. I mean, I think he has it in him to fight 3 minute rounds. Not if, when Beterbiev, like he will have to. Beterbiev will make him. I think he can. Just a question of will he, and that's hard
And
to
it's a
answer.
question of how many as well.
I mean, considering we haven't seen it yet. I mean, we've seen Beterbiev in hard fights. Also, I mean, Beterbiev has fought more guys with a style like Bivol than Bivol's fought with a style like Beterbiev, because no one has a style like Beterbiev. But, you know, someone who can box and fight at range and good movement, like what's it?
Even Marcus Brown.
Yeah,
Like,
Brown is
Marcus
good
Brown's a
mover.
much lower level, obviously, but
Yeah,
he sort of fights in a similar way.
similar-ish. Like they do some similar things. Obviously,
Yeah.
we're not saying Marcus Brown and Dmitry Bivol are the same level file.
No, obviously there's levels, but there's similarities.
This is obvious. No one's gonna think with.
No, we're not saying at the same level. We're saying Marcus Brown is levels above everyone.
Greatest
But
one.
yeah,
Maybe he is. Maybe he just got thrown off his game plan by Beterbiev's blood.
yeah, he saw the blood and just panicked. Yeah,
Yeah, he caused the cut. Was like, oh, I feel bad. I'm just gonna let him off and let him win now.
Take a knee just for him.
See, I mean, I wonder if he's gonna do this to Beterbiev, because when Bivol is in the ring, like taking center ring, he takes like small steps forward to push people back and put pressure on them with his feet. I wonder if that will work against Beterbiev, because they do like go back. That's why you see lots of Bivol fighters on the ropes.
Yeah.
Like that small foot pressure it gets on them. I mean, you don't really notice it, but when you're in the ring with him, I mean, it's not like it's not obvious like foot pressure like Usyk and Lomachenko put on you, but it's there, and it does a lot, and it can tire you out as well, mentally.
Will Beterbiev just hold his feet and say, "I don't mind trading"? Like, come in, invite you in. I'm a brilliant. That's one thing Beterbiev is very underrated at, is counter punching.
Yeah, he can fight off the back foot. See, look, I mean, it shows.
Joe Smith, Callum
It shows
Smith.
I mean, he's done it loads of times. Look at lots of his knockouts. I mean, even earlier, there was loads of especially that right hand counter. I mean, if I could make like 4 split screen videos of that counter from Beterbiev.
Yeah. Like, because this is the thing that it's fascinating to me. Can Beterbiev be pushed back? And I don't mean Beterbiev is accepting he's going to go back and invite you in. Can he be pushed back by Bivol? Does Bivol punch hard enough to push Beterbiev back?
I think if he's sitting down on his punches, I think he does. I think his power is a factor in this fight. If he sits down on his punches, but if he's doing this, the pendulum step that he does, hard to really get power.
This goes back to the thing I said earlier, though.
Like you've got to like catch him when he's coming in when you're pendulum stepping, or just time some fantastic shot, or to the body.
The only time Bivol's really sat down was Zinad.
And when he sat down, I mean, he got hit a lot more than.
Yeah. This is the problem. Like, if he sits down to try and get Beterbiev's respect, he's going to get caught. And he's going to get caught by the biggest puncher in the entire sport. Pound for pound, obviously. And that's an issue. If he boxes in and out, he's not going to have the power to make Beterbiev respect him for long enough. So he needs to do both and work out how to do both.
Well, he has to land something early to deter Beterbiev from just walking through him. And when he tries to come in, I mean, he needs to catch him when he comes in with a 1-2, and then he has to angle out. Because he does have the faster feet.
Yeah. That's
like you can't be moving backwards in a straight line like he loves to do against Beterbiev. You're going to get pinned on the ropes. Because even moving around the ring, I mean, I don't think just moving around the ring is going to help either, because he's so good at cutting off the ring. Like, there needs to be angles and pivots.
Does he have that though?
I think he has the angles. I don't know if he has the pivots because we haven't seen it too much.
This is
See, the problem is, like, we know Beterbiev. We know all about Beterbiev. We know what he can do. We know what he can't do. But we don't really know what Bivol
What the
can do
limits he can get to.
because it seems pretty obvious that he hasn't shown us everything. Well, at least we're assuming he hasn't shown us everything, and we think he can do more than he can. And I hope he can do more than he can. Because if he can't,
That'd be pretty.
he's in for a very tough night.
it's such an intriguing fight. There's a lot of unknown quantities in this. Do any of you put any stock into the knee injury for Beterbiev?
He's always injured.
No, I mean, I'd be more worried if he didn't get an injury before this fight, to be honest.
Yeah, he's always injured.
Seems like a superstition. He needs to get injured to be at his best.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's a knee injury, so I guess it could play a factor, but he seems to recover well from these injuries, doesn't matter what.
Yeah.
He just comes back into this fight like nothing happened. Like,
He's in crazy shape at all times.
Yeah, lives a life. That's why he's still able to go at 40. At the level he's is, because, I mean, being at 40 and arguably having the best conditioning in boxing, I mean, that says a lot about his dedication.
It's I have these nagging doubts about Bivol, and I always have done. And he's exceptional at what he does, but I just don't think it's enough, man. If both fighters fight to the level that they've shown in their professional career, I have zero doubt that Beterbiev wins. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Because Bivol's just fought in first or second gear. He's never upped it.
Yeah, you can't beat Beterbiev fighting in first or second gear. And if you can, then you're just really good. And fair enough, well done to you. You're insane fighter.
Anyway, I think that's our main preview for this episode done, for this fight. Yeah, we've all picked Beterbiev to stop him, sort of me and Taj in the mid to late rounds, Dan in the championship rounds. But yeah, but it's just...
This is going to be a great fight. One of the highest level light heavyweight fights of this century. I think it's going to be one of the highest level fights of this century too. It's going to be close.
Yep.
I mean, it could be even on the cards. I mean, Bivol could be up like 6-4. Beterbiev could be up like 6-4. It's just going to be great. It's going to be fantastic.
I think this is a first and probably the only time that all three of us are picking the betting underdog to win a fight. Because Dmitry Bivol is a slight favourite.
I wonder if that'll change.
I mean, we didn't have a podcast at the time, but was Usyk the underdog?
Usyk was the underdog, and we all picked him, I think. Yeah.
We all picked it. Yeah.
Yeah. But they almost robbed him there. But yeah. What else is on this card? Chief Support is a rematch between Fraser Clarke and Fabio Wardley. Wardley defending his British Commonwealth and a load of random international and continental belts that he's got in a heavyweight rematch in a fight that was... I think we have mixed opinions on this fight. I thought it was a good slugfest, but really wasn't that good technically. First time around. and I don't think it's anywhere near a fight of the year. But I don't know if you two think the same.
I thought it was kind of insane, but of course it wasn't technically great. It's not usually technically great with the
I thought it was a great fight. I
lower level
can't
heavyweight.
remember if I've watched it back. I'm not gonna lie.
Clarke got dropped.
In round 5,
He got a
I had
point
a point
deducted.
in round 7, didn't I?
So that's where the draw comes in. So the judge, I forgot if it was like a majority draw or a split draw.
Split.
Split. Okay, so then one judge gave it Clarke 7 rounds, and then Wardley 5.
I thought Wardley pretty clearly won it, if I'm being honest.
I thought like in rounds it was close, but then he had the extra 2 points anyway.
Yeah. To give Clarke that fight, you need to give him 8 rounds, and he didn't win 8 rounds.
I don't think he won 8 rounds. He did hurt Wardley a couple times. He hurt him in the last round. He shattered his nose. He was cut on
Yeah,
the
but
bridge
if
of his nose.
Nathan Gorman shattered his nose as well, like Fabio Wardley's nose is an issue. Like it just smashes off at every opportunity.
From Gorman, was he cut on the bridge of his nose like the Clarke fight, or
Yeah,
was he bleeding out
shattered
the
it. Yeah, it was the same cut that opened up for Gorman.
It was. If I don't remember where it came from, it was definitely worse than the Clarke fight because it was blood everywhere. I think it was in round 2 that cut happened too. So it wasn't like,
Clarke's nose Wardley's nose. It's got a lot of scar tissue and it's damaged. Like that could be a factor in this fight.
It probably will be because Clarke is still like a pretty good. He's like a good technical fighter, obviously, Olympic silver medalist.
He's just a blob and doesn't have any stamina.
Bronze medalist, but I think it'll be a similar fight, but then Wardley will like either stop him late or like win like clear, where it won't have to be the same type of decision.
Yeah,
if he stops him, maybe like late, like 10, 11. Like 9, 10, 11. Yeah. I'd probably pick Wardley to stop it later. Personally,
I think Wardley has more room for improvement than Clarke in this fight.
Which is crazy because is he known for like having near to no amateur fights?
He didn't. He was a white collar fighter.
Fantastic.
Yeah, because you can see like Clarke, like the more schooled, like technically good fighter. But I think he fought the best fight that he could have fought in the first fight, and he still didn't win. Or maybe that's just me having lower expectations of what he was going to do because I thought Wardley would have won the first fight.
Well, he probably should have won it anyway. But
I can't remember how I scored it.
I don't know if you would like how Taco said you'd have to give Clarke 8 rounds for him to win because of the knockdown and the point. I think he was a point deducted for
a low blow. The 7. It was a low blow. That's another thing with Clarke. He constantly gets done for low blows. He nearly got disqualified against Dave Allen for it.
That would have been insane to have a disqualification loss to Dave Allen in 2023 because you couldn't keep your punches up.
The one thing would you agree with me that this is the peak of what either of these are going to do? It's like the levels they're at, they won't go any further.
British, they're not world beaters, and they're not contenders, honestly.
The European champion, I forgot his name. He's a 6'9" Ukrainian southpaw, and he punches very, very hard, and he's got an exceptional jab. He won his title in Germany earlier this year against Granit Xhaka, and I'd pick him to stop both these, if I'm being honest. I don't even think they won a European title.
I'm not familiar, but
I mean, I think they could. I mean,
well, not against him.
Oh, but this is their level, though, like a
Yeah, this is their level.
European domestic.
Well, I mean, Clarke had a good start in the first fight. He just couldn't sustain it. I mean, because Wardley has better stamina.
Did you see Clarke afterwards, by the way?
Yes.
Oh, he was
After the 12th round, he literally collapsed in the ring.
Yes.
He was dry. Either.
That's fair enough. That's a tough
They
battle.
were punching.
He got hit with a lot of punches. I mean, these big punches. I mean, that just shows that he gave his all in that fight.
Yeah, those types of things go both ways, though.
They threw a crazy amount. They threw a combined 945 punches.
Yeah, at a heavyweight, which is mad. But those types of things go both ways. Like, does Clarke want to have that happen again? Where
You can't because
he's
it probably
collapsing. Does he value winning this fight over having the experience of collapsing like that?
Well,
Does he want to go that deep again? And I'm not saying he has to go that deep to win this fight, because I think they're both very limited and it could go either way. But does Clarke want it more than not having to collapse again like that?
I don't think he would want to go have a fight like that again.
his game plan will probably be to avoid feeling anything like that again. He'll probably he'll probably try to make it a not fun fight to watch.
Yeah,
which is probably the best thing for him. Not for my eyeballs, so please don't. But,
I just think Clarke's too heavy, man. Being his height, and he's meant to be this technical boxer that's jabbing and moving and that. Being 270 pounds is just way too heavy.
Yeah, maybe that's why he seems to slow down in the second half of fights. If he gets there.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think this is. It will be I think Clarke will be outboxing him, and then Wardley's power and athleticism and willingness to sort of have it out with you and not care about taking punches will come through, and he'll just win this fight. Stop him late or mid to late even.
It's probably not a good idea, but he might want to bank on trying to hurt Wardley early, like usually everybody does, because Wardley gets hurt and wobbled all over the ring in the first round specifically, like the last, like most of his fights, honestly. Nick Webb,
Nathan Gorman nearly had him out.
He's always all over in their first fight, he didn't hurt him, but he might have stunned him. But remember that second round is where he busts his nose wide open.
Yeah,
which probably is like a good reason for Wardley not being probably the best he could have been. He probably couldn't breathe. So
the only fight that hasn't happened with Wardley is David Allaway. That's his probably career best performance, David Allaway.
Definitely. Like he's had the early knockouts and stuff, but
yeah,
he was like complete in that one. Well, his complete version.
I don't think you can rule out a Clarke stoppage. That could happen. I mean, he punches hard. He
could do it.
It's not like he didn't hurt Wardley in the fight.
He hurt him multiple times.
Yeah,
and
you heard him in the round. He almost the last round of the fight where he was driving at the end.
Because he
like
could
I said earlier,
catch him coming in.
And putting someone down and then not being able to beat a count isn't the only way to win by stoppage. Fabio Wardley, the amount of scar tissue he has on his face, like that fight in March, was it the first fight? That could have been stopped on cuts and nobody could have complained.
I think
easily
with that cut specifically, since it was on the
if
it was that amount of blood on like his eyelid or something, then that would have been stopped. But that
you could have easily.
It was on his nose, so it's a bit different.
If a doctor comes in and says this fight's over, that cut's horrific, nobody complains.
I would think he would complain because it's.
He would complain, but like the general boxing public don't complain about that fight being stopped. it would have been well justified to be stopped. And I like whatever, like it wasn't if my aunt was my uncle, whatever, you know. But the amount of damage Wardley continually takes, like he got that cut when David Adelaide's team hit him at the press conference, and he had to have emergency surgery on that, didn't he? Like he keeps getting cut.
Yeah, because once you got that scar tissue, it will just keep getting open and open and open. Not really much.
Keep getting worse and worse and worse. Yeah. But yeah, ultimately, I think yeah, Wardley would win. What do you two think?
I don't think this fight's going the distance this time.
I don't think.
I mean, I think it's either going to be Clarke early or Wardley late, and I would probably take Wardley late, and like 10 or 9 or 10.
No, I'll say 10.
I seem to agree. I agree with you. Yeah.
But Clarke can finish him. 100%.
I just want to say I am very very biased with Fraser Clarke because I had to sit through that Marius Wack fight from ringside in York Hall in July, and if anyone's been to York Hall in July, it is hell on earth
insanely
at the best of
hot.
times.
York Hall is
And
insanely hot.
At the best of times, when you're watching a war, it's too hot, and I had to watch 10 rounds of that and 10 rounds of Caroline Dubois just before it. So I was agitated watching Fraser Clarke, and I've always held that against him. So I'm probably a little bit biased here, but it is what it is. Anyway, moving on. Jai Opetaia defends his IBF cruiserweight title against Jack Massey in a fight that nobody really asked for, nobody really wanted, and it's another example of these Riyadh cards having exceptional fighters on them in complete mismatches. I just don't see the point. What's the point in this fight?
Look, I like this fight. I think it's a good fight. Jack Massey's a good fight. I don't think it's a mismatch. I think Opetaia's going to win. I don't think it's a mismatch.
I agree. I don't think it's a mismatch, but
You just said it was a mismatch.
I said, what's the point in this fight?
You said fight isn't absolute mismatches.
That's a good point. I did say that, but
You did say that.
as in fight. As in, I sort of missaid what I was trying to get my point across. As it's a fight. It's a big name fighter in a fight that nobody really wants to see that they're going to win.
Well, in his defense, I mean, Villain Smith and Dodo are fighting each other, and this is a fight against. I think he's top 10. He has to be top 10 after beating. Well, he doesn't have to be, but probably should be. After performing against Isaac Chamberlain. I mean, but I really like this fight. Other than the main event, it's the best fight on the card.
I think it'll be pretty.
In my opinion,
pretty competitive.
How do you two rate Opetaia?
I think he's good.
I think most people probably overrated him when he beat Paredes. And then they probably doubled down on it with his like knockouts, but then the fighters he was like Zorro and Thompson they're not that good.
Zorro and Thompson.
I think his ability is pretty good, but then he's like multiplied with how he's like fought with like the opponents he's fought, and they're not that good. I think they need to see him in a fight with like a really really good fighter too. Like Paredes is really good, but
he was old
at the back end of his career.
He was old.
He got his jaw broken in the first fight, and he got hurt like a lot in the later half of the second fight.
I'm not questioning his skill. I mean, he's a really good fighter. I just question him in the later rounds, him in the championship rounds. I don't know what happens to him in the championship rounds. He doesn't have very good stuff.
I'm not really familiar with him in like the middle rounds because he's either stopping the people like Thompson and Zorro early, or he's nearly getting stopped in the last couple rounds of the fight.
Well, he was fine in the middle rounds in the rematch of Braiders, but then I don't understand how he's falling off that much. I mean, he had all his own way for 9 rounds against Bradis, then
Just fell
just
off a cliff.
fell apart. I mean, you just fought at your own pace, dominating every round, and you're dying in the final 3 rounds.
With like
How?
One
apparently
worry.
Bivol's a 2-round fighter. With Opetaia is a 9-round fighter. No, that'd be funny.
Well, if he can survive those last 3 rounds, then being a 9-round fighter is fine. He only needs to win 7 rounds. But
The issue I have
risky.
The issue I have with it is he's not. We're basing all of it. He's got undeniable skill. Yeah. Firstly, I rate him as a technical boxer. I don't think he's a massive puncher. In the sense that he's knocked over Ellis Zorro, who was getting hurt badly by Hosea Burton in his fight before, and Jordan Thompson, who was nearly stopped by Vasyl Ducar and dropped like twice by Vasyl Ducar.
That's what I'm saying. Those British fighters he fought, kind of.
Yeah,
like it made him like more known, but then
yeah, they were just horrible opponents.
They didn't show him. They didn't give him any resistance. So
then against Breedis, the first fight, I scored it. I scored that fight 7-5 to dry Opetaia, but that could easily have been a 6-all fight. And if that, I know it's if buts and maybes. If that fight is not in Australia, dry Opetaia does not get that decision. He got pinged those last sort of 5 or 6 rounds of that fight badly, really badly, and arguably, if you're looking at who's done more damage, who's hurt the other one more in that first fight, I know that's not how you score boxing, but Breedis did more damage to Opetaia than Opetaia did to Breedis.
in probably both fights combined, he broke his
In
jaw.
probably both fights, yeah. In those last 3 rounds, the clearest 3 rounds of that fight where the most damage is being done, and the times you're thinking this could get stopped there, it's Breedis. It's not Opetaia that's like threatening to stop Breedis.
Like,
Maybe a bit in the
like
end.
comprehensively outboxed him most of the second fight.
Yeah.
And then he just started getting beat on. You could like see I wish someone get like a side by side of how he looked in like how his face looked in like round 6, and then compared it to the end.
Yeah.
Of the fight. It'd be like a crazy difference. Or even like round 8, round 9 compared to round 12, and it'd be an insane difference. It'd be bruises all over his face.
Do you think he's the best cruiserweight in the world, Opetaia?
Well,
yeah, I think he has to be. But
maybe, but then again,
not on resume, not on all this. Do you think he beats every cruiserweight in the world?
I would like to see how Zerto looks against.
I think his toughest fight is Zerto.
I want to see how he looks against. I want to see that fight first before I answer that.
Because I mean, Zerto's gonna box against him, and I'd like to see how he deals with that, especially against Sam as well.
I'm gonna make a statement here that neither of you are gonna agree with.
You're about to pre-fire something crazy.
I think Chris Bingham-Smith beats Dry Opetaia. I think Chris Bingham-Smith is too big, too strong, and sets too high a pace. We've seen Opetaia totally fall off in the second half of his only real fight. His only real fight, Opetaia's totally fallen off in the second half against someone that's not as big, not as physical, not as strong, and probably doesn't punch as hard as Bingham-Smith. I think Bingham-Smith has this ironclad chin. You can outbox Bingham-Smith, but you need a bloody good engine to do it. And I don't think Opetaia has that. I think Bingham-Smith is going to absolutely pummel Zerto Ramirez firstly, and I think he's going to scrape a close decision against Opetaia.
I don't know. I mean, Chris Bingham-Smith, he does it hard, but I mean,
physicality matters in this game.
We've seen I've seen Bradis knockout heavyweights.
Manuel Char.
And that was That was a bad one. I mean,
That was a
and
bad one.
speaking of crazy chins, Bradis has a crazy chin.
Is it better than Ben Smith?
I don't think he's ever been dropped. I don't think.
Yeah, I think he has a better chin than Chris Smith.
Chris Smith has been hurt off arm.
And I don't think.
So.
I don't think it's arguable. He has a better chin than Ben Smith. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, that's not to say Chris Smith doesn't have a good chin. I mean, he can take a shot.
And he's only ever been knocked down once, and it was like a rope. He
wasn't knocked down against Reactor. That wasn't a knockdown. That wasn't. But I just see it, man. I just think physicality matters a lot more than people want to admit. My main problem with the Massey fight, going full circle here, going back. You know the IBF are going to order Hussein Sin Cara, and they've already ordered it and said that they've accepted an exemption for this Jack Massey fight. But he has to fight Sin Cara next.
Yes.
Why the hell isn't he fighting Sin Cara now? Because that mandatory is going to get in the way of the Ben Smith Survey winner.
You know, boxers aren't very smart, I guess.
Well, it's not even Opetaia's fault. It's like his promoter's fault, his manager's fault, it's everyone's fault. Like, this is why I don't really like this fight, because
people that work in boxing, they're not very smart.
I don't understand what value Jack Massey brings to this card.
I mean, he's just coming off a good win.
He's coming off a good win. He's a good fighter, sure. What value does he bring to the card that Hussein Sin Cara wouldn't?
It's a better fight. Much better fight.
Interest.
Okay, much better fighter. But the mandatory's there for a reason. Yeah. And the mandatory's going to get in the way.
But IBF mandatories, they're usually not good. So
Opetaia's already found out about the IBF, mate. Let's not forget.
Look, if he wants to lose his title again, then
sure. Time?
Yeah, he can. Let's say someone picks it up. Let's say Chris Smith or Zerdo picks it up. He can fight them for 3 belts. Because whether he has a belt or not, I mean, he's still going to be one of the best, if not the best.
Yeah, I agree. But I want the belts together. It's just, yeah, you know. And it annoys me in a fight that Opetaia is going to win. Why won't he just fight Sin Cara and get it out of the way? It doesn't make sense to me politically.
Well, probably makes sense to him financially. I mean, I imagine he would get a lot more money to fight Jack Massey than Sin Cara.
Would he? On this? Like, he'll be on his regular contract for this. He won't be on anything more.
You never know. Maybe Turkey's giving him a little bit extra.
It's just a weird fight. But yeah. How do you see this fight going? Lastly,
I think Opetaia is going to win a decision in a reasonably competitive fight.
8-4, Jai Opetaia.
I agree. 8-4, 9-3, maybe with a knockdown in there. So yeah, we're agreeing with each other today. It's weird. It's really weird. We never usually agree on predictions.
You're usually the outlier.
Yeah. Oh God. We have to talk about Chris Eubank now.
Well,
against Kamil Szeremeta.
Yeah, this means we're going to agree on the whole card because of the last 2 fights.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier. And if Chris Eubank wins this fight, he will be a 5-time world champion. because he has won IBO belts twice, and he has won WBA interim belts twice before. So...
I was gonna say a 5-time world champion like Vinny Pazienza, but at least Vinny Pazienza won 2 real belts.
Disgusting. This is a 2018 fight. This is not a.
You know what this is? This is like his dad. He's boxing like his dad, winning fake world titles against dreadful opponents. His whole career has been a WBO 1990s run.
what we're not going to do is disrespect Chris Eubank Jr. He actually fought good fighters.
Oh, you just said junior instead of senior. There you
All
go.
right, I meant senior. We
Yeah.
are going to disrespect Chris Eubank Jr. What we're not going to do is disrespect Chris Eubank Senior. He fought good fighters.
You know, he never won a world title, but it's what it is.
Yes, he technically never won a world title. That's fine, but he does have a win over an actual world champion.
Nigel Benn. And then we've got a gift in the rematch. Anyway, let's talk about Junior here. I think it's quite obvious what this is. It's a marking time fight. It's a keep busy fight. He'll get paid well for this fight, and then he'll fight Conor Benn next year and make 10 figures in that fight. Or no, not 10 figures. He'll make 8 figures. Around 10 million to fight Conor Benn. And that's why he turned down Hamza Shiraz, because at the end of the day, this man does not care about anything boxing like legacy related.
Yep.
He cares about lining his pockets, and that's fair play to him. I like if you want to come into the game and do that, you can do that. But I'm not going to take you seriously.
Prize fighting after all, but
Prize fighter,
I
he's
have
like
to care about you.
he's made so much money.
See, when he turned down Golovkin, I was like, okay, fair enough. He doesn't take his career seriously. But then when he joined the World Boxing Super Series, I thought, actually, yeah, maybe he is going to take this.
The money in that World Boxing Super Series was ridiculous.
It was, but you know, he still had to fight some good fighters.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. And then he moved back down to middleweight, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe not. Maybe he just takes his career seriously at super middleweight, and at middleweight, he's like, no.
Don't care.
Because the amount he was eating to make super middleweight, I mean, he might as well take his career seriously if he's going to put all that work in.
But yeah, Camo Szeremeta. I'm just going to check because I'm pretty sure. I'll check what event this is on. I'm pretty sure I watched his last fight, the split draw against Abel Mina. I think it was on Michael Sidgwick on the card. I'm just going to check.
No, he wasn't on that card.
What fight was this? I might have watched it. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't think I did.
But it's funny that he had those, like, he's most known for having the stoppage losses against Triple G and Munguia back to back, and then since then he's had in the script wins and 2 draws. So
yeah, like he's not good.
kind of literally nothing.
This is one thing about Eubank. If you listen to his dad, he went on when his dad was talking sense, which was very rare. He one of the things he used to go on about was boxing promoters don't care about you, boxing managers don't care about you, the fans don't really care about you. You need to get as much money as you can and keep your health. And I think that's what Eubank Jr. is doing, and he has done. And that's what he's done his entire career. He's looking out for his health and his money. And that's what he's doing here. That's why he's turning down Hamza Shiraz. Because you can make more money fighting Conor Benn in a much, much easier fight. And that fight will happen next year. As much as I don't think it should be happening, I think Ben's a drug sheet, and I think it's a ridiculous fight between a welterweight and a middleweight, and I just think it's stupid. That fight's going to happen, and it's going to be a commercial success.
Yeah, money talks. He'll just have to drain himself 3 pounds.
He won't anymore.
Oh, is it going to be at 160?
Well, it would have been at 157, but like now, after Conor Benn's failed all these drug tests and prolonged legal battles and stuff, he's got no legs to stand on.
I mean,
so it'd just be a middleweight fight.
Well, you never know. I mean, if Chris Eubank wants the money that bad, maybe he'll be like, yeah, sure, why not? It's a lot of money. He'll just do it anyway.
I think it'll be 160, but anyway.
Because maybe Conor Benn will be like, no, I'm not fighting at 160. It's 157 or nothing. And where is he going to get a payday like that without having to fight someone good?
Canelo, and then he can go and fight Ben after it.
So don't piss me off.
I was gonna say, are people gonna care once he gets back by Canelo? But yes, they will because of their son.
Yes, they will. I've said this about British boxing, and this goes back to Wardley and Clarke as well. Doesn't matter what level you're at. It doesn't matter how many times you get beat. If you're a good British lad and have a go, yeah, and you've got a decent name, because it's a mixture of British boxing being so bad at the moment, British boxing living in the past, and Brits loving a loser.
Yeah,
All
but
these guys can be in big fights.
unfortunately, those two fighters only fit the third point. They're not good British lads. Do they give it a go? I guess they kind of give it a go. Yeah, they do have the name value.
Yeah, and Eubank is a loser as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And Conor Ben will be a loser.
Well, he already is. He
Eventually.
lost to Cedric Baino. So, yeah. You don't forget.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this fight, I don't care about it. Eubank's going to win. Whether he cocks about and wins a decision or he actually tries and he goes and stops Szeremeta, I don't care.
I think he'll stop him. Maybe
I don't trust in him to not play around.
maybe Szeremeta's gonna his corner. He's gonna lose in the corner again. His third retirement loss
Look at
after Golovkin and Munguia.
Liam Williams, though. Liam Williams was getting dropped by, like, gushes of air and went a distance with Eubank. Like, I just don't trust him.
Yeah, but he was doing his stupid Roy Jones impression then.
Yeah, but what
He
makes you
was
say that
actually
he won't do it again?
Now he's trained by Bomac.
He was.
I don't think he is for this
He
fight.
was trying in those.
Well, he
Liam
was
Smith
anyway.
fights.
He was trying in the Liam Smith fight because he got beat in the first fight.
He was trying in the first fight too, and he just got hit.
Yeah,
But he was like actually fighting properly.
I think
Yeah,
he
was
I think he's left
very much.
Bomac, though. I'm not sure, but there was a rumor going around that he's left Bomac.
He might have. I don't know.
Oh.
We'll find out.
Maybe Bomac refused to, not take his gun to training camp. So. Who knows? Another fighter I really don't care about is Ben Whittaker fighting Liam Cameron, who I do care about actually, but I think he's going to lose a wide decision.
I mean,
Same thing with him.
look, for a development fight, it's actually not bad for Ben Whittaker, to be honest. I like this matchmaking.
I like the opponent. I don't like how he fights and acts. So, yeah.
I mean, to do all the showboating, I guess this is like at least slightly acceptable to do it against Liam Cameron. Not against anyone you fought so far. And he will.
He will.
He would.
And it won a boring
in his nature
decision.
to do it, but I'd rather just not see him do that because it's
Look,
horrible.
for the stage of his career, this is a good step up development fight. He should learn a bit. I mean, Cameron just gave Linden Arthur a good fight.
I really don't rate Linden Arthur. This is the issue. Like I personally think a lot of the British scene gets overhyped a lot, and I think Linden Arthur is not very good. I remember years ago, Linden Arthur had a really, really tough fight with Emmanuel and Nim for the Commonwealth title, I think his name was. And that was a really, really close fight. He got cut up. He was like hurt in that fight. Linden Arthur, I just don't rate at all, if I'm being honest.
Yes, I remember that fight. Oh, that was like 2019, I think.
Yeah, it was years ago. But yeah, like Liam Cameron had his career ruined by the board for that drugs ban that was for recreational drugs, and wasn't actually that big a deal. He probably shouldn't have been doing it, but it wasn't a big deal. And they were letting other people, make fights after testing positive for actual like PEDs. But yeah, I hope the only thing I can say about this fight is I hope Liam Cameron gets paid a lot of money because he deserves it, because he had his career ruined.
Yeah, British boxing border control. If you don't make them any money, you'll get a full ban.
Yeah.
If you do, they'll just brush it under the rug. Just forget about it.
Yeah. And it's not even like what you got done for was actually performance enhancing anyway. Let's be honest about it. But yeah, that's a whole separate issue. But
Probably the opposite of enhancing, to be honest.
yeah.
That's not going to help you.
It's not on the VAR list or anything, is it? I don't think so. But anyway,
I don't think it is.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just a fight that screams Ben Whittaker messes about, showboats, doesn't actually do anything, and wins a YDD in a very boring fight. And if you strip away the dancing in the ring and that, it's just horrific to watch.
Like he's got talent. He's a good fighter, like talent-wise. But please stop showboating and doing all this stuff.
I don't think he punches hard at all, and I don't think he's got the physicality. And I think his body is easily broken because he's constantly injured. I think he's very fragile. And I can see somebody like I don't know, somebody like a Richard Bolotnitz giving him hell, if I'm honest.
Look,
He makes it really physical.
He's a guy you can see. He's going to be on the end of a disgusting knockout at some point in his career. You can just see him getting caught.
Yeah,
he pulls out his chin
and to be honest, it's probably not going to be against a fight that's that good either. He's just going to get caught doing his stupid showboating shit. Or
that 8-rounder on the 8-rounder on the Clarke Wardley undercard that he had. He fought a area champion, the central area champion at the time, I think. And he lost 2 rounds of that fight because he was showboating and getting caught on the way out with his chin up. But he's just, I don't know. I don't see him doing very well in the pros. I don't think he'll replicate his success he had as an amateur.
I think he'll win some titles, not world titles. I think British, Commonwealth. Actually, I think hasn't even gone past that level. Isn't he winning like IBF international belts or something?
Maybe.
I think he.
Yeah,
I think that's what he won in his last fight against Aranyeko. International IBF.
Who ironically is following everyone on Twitter now. I don't know if you had that, but he's following literally everyone on Twitter.
Well, I mean, I do not get notifications for followers.
Hopefully he is not following.
I didn't either, but for some reason I was on his account and it came up that he was following me, and then he's followed like a load of people.
I'm gonna check. I'm going to be disappointed if I'm not followed by him.
But yeah, the British is vacant now because Buatsi's won a version of a world title, so the British and Commonwealth are vacant. I believe so is the European as well because Buatsi had that. So he should go for one of those belts next. But anyway,
I don't think he's going to, but he should.
He should fight the Dan Aziz versus Lewis Edmondson winner. But yeah. On that note, we'll have. That's pretty much the whole card. There's a couple other fights on there that we're not going to bother with, but that's it. Obviously, the fights this Saturday. In a ridiculous weekend for the boxing. There's 10 world title fights in the space of 3 days this weekend. 8 of them in Japan. We'll have an episode out later this week that covers the entirety of the Japanese schedule. You've got Ibuki, Nonshinga, Casemiro, then the Juno Nakatani, Kenshiro Taraji, Saigo Akui, Oda Squadra, all of those guys. That will be out at some point this week. All the links to everything, Twitters, Instagrams, Discords, everything else, that'll be down below in the description. I can't get my words out today. But yeah, thanks for listening to episode 7 of the Championship Rounds podcast, and we'll see you next time.
See you in episode 8.